YouTube? It's the OG Bloodshot Red coming back with another one. Before I get into this content, let me do this disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get this shit banging. Man, I talk a lot about loyalty and the falsehood of loyalty into things outside of who you are or yourself, and things like that, placing loyalty into other people, placing loyalty into external type things, right? And so this content, this story right here, man, it's another hard lesson that I learned in my journeys in TDC about loyalty and where loyalty should really be placed. This was on All Red Unit. All Red Unit is actually in Iowa Park, Texas. It's up around like Amarillo in West Texas, Amarillo area. It was relatively a new unit, 2250. If you've never been there, if you have been there, you know how it's built. I won't get into all of that, but the unit itself, it wasn't a real rock and rolling type unit like the other units that I had been on, but it was a unit to where when something did happen, it was big. It would be, it'd be real, just chill, nothing going on, and then all of a sudden something would just explode. And this incident that I'm speaking on right now kind of falls in that kind of category. So I'm gonna kind of give you a physical layout of how the unit was kind of like structured as far as race relations and things and gangs and stuff like that. So I was on 8 building, which is closed custody, and I was on L pod. And now at this particular time, every unit kind of does things a little bit different as far as how they manage, gang relations and things like that, who's particularly at war at that particular time and things like that. So at this particular time, they had a lot of us separated. Now, it's 3 pods, J, K, and L. And J pod had predominantly white guys over there. Had some black guys and had some Mexicans, but it was predominantly, like, it would be considered a dominantly white pod. Everybody over there that was white wasn't necessarily a gang member, but it was a real, slow pod. Wasn't really a lot of things happening. So, it was real chill. So people, they got along all right over there. L pod, it was majority bloods as far as blacks go, not as far as the section goes. As far as blacks go, it was majority bloods. It was a sprinkle of Mandingo warriors, and rest was Mexican mafia. So at this particular time, they had the bloods and Mexican mafia housed together because those were the 2 dominant bodies there on that section. On K-Pod, it was Crips and TS. We pretty much got into it with the Crips, so they kept them on that section. Mexican Mafia and TS, they were 2, powerhouse bodies, so they kept them separated. And so everything was pretty much cool with us and the Mexican Mafia, Texas Mexican Mafia that was on my section. And I'm assuming everything was pretty cool on K-Pod with the other guys. So anyway, man, we go to the rec yard one day. Well, before I get into that, let me say this. This because I gotta set y'all up for this. I can't just drop it on y'all like this. Man, there's a practice in Texas Department of Criminal Justice, right? And I'm gonna just be blunt with you. You just got some guys that expose themselves to female officers. And what I mean by that is, dude could be standing at his cell door and see a female officer coming around doing counter, passing out mail. and he'll put his petition up, sheet, don't disrespect his celly, and get in the door and expose his private parts and masturbate on her. Now, some of those women like it, and they'll stand there and watch it, and some of them gonna go berserk and write you a case. But it's a practice that people do in prison. I mean, it's I guess it's their alternative for not messing with homosexuals or something. I don't know, but this is just what they do. Me myself, man, I ain't participating in it. That's not my thing. I don't know if it was just how I was raised. I don't know. I don't know. That just was not my thing. And but it was widely practiced amongst a lot of people in prison. So this particular day, we're on the rec yard, and the rec yard is huge. The rec yard is huge, man. You got probably like a 30-foot tall fence, maybe higher than that. I'm not real good with my measurements, but it's huge. Just imagine a fence that's put around a prison to stop somebody from escaping. It's like that high, and it encaps the whole yard. And then there's a huge brick wall that separates this yard on 8 building from 7 buildings yard, and that wall is used for handball. So the Mexicans always play handball. You got a basketball, two goal basketball court. Blacks always on the basketball court. And you also have universal weight machine. So it's, kind of a mix, blacks, maybe some Hispanics and a few whites or whatever over there. Then you just have other dudes just milling around, because it's a little small grassy area, because 95% of the yard at this particular time was concrete, and you had one little small area that was actually grass. So just giving you a visual. So this, as you come out of the building, there's a long walkway. There's a long chain link fence that runs that encloses the sidewalk, and it goes all the way down to the brick wall. And then you have a gate that you go through, and there's a little, what they call a dog house, and it's just like a little shed. And usually there's an officer sitting in there who monitors the sidewalk of traffic. Inmates coming out, they might be trying to fall out of place illegally where they ain't supposed to be. And, they got to have a pass or something. So it's just more like a hall monitor in school, kind of like, but it's a TDC officer. So at this particular time, it was a woman in there. And so keep in mind now, this brick wall and this fence actually meets up. So there's a corner right there. And so the Mexican guys were playing handball. One of our homies named Red Rooster was over in the corner exposing himself to this officer, masturbating. And I mean, because she hadn't screamed or said anything or whatever, I guess she was entertaining it, I mean, usually if they not, they gonna scream, officers running down there, they gonna take you out and, lock you up and things like that. So, me, I'm over on the grass area with the rest of the homies, and we all just kind of just kicking it. It's just a cool day outside, man. We just all out there just chilling. So looking across the yard over at the area where Rooster was at, all of a sudden we kind of see like the essays going over there to where Rooster was at. So we all got up and we walked over there, and we like, man, what's going on? So what had happened was, as they were playing handball, the handball, rolled over in the corner. Mexican dude ran over there to get the handball and got burned up. Now what burned up is, he saw Rooster masturbating, and that's like a major disrespect. If you're gonna do that, man, you do it, but you do it's a way that you do it. You just don't do it like that, out there on the rec yard and things like that. Because this right here, this was a bad riot. This was a bad riot. But there was another riot that happened a few years later on Smith that was the worst riot in the system, history, because of someone masturbating. But that's just me, a reference to that about how serious this is when people do this. Well, anyway, when the Mexican guy went over there and he got burned up, and him and Rooster kind of got into whatever verbal confrontation that they got into about it. Rooster kind of like disrespected him, and we found all this out, while we was over there trying to figure out what was going on. Rooster told him, shit, man, you must have been looking for it if you saw it, which is like just totally disrespect. Just totally, it's like you calling this dude, a funny bunny or something, because he come over there looking for it or something, right? So this is one thing that I learned from being in prison, with dealing with the essays. If the essay is not really finna get up there and do no squabbling with you hand to hand. I mean, they will if they have to, but I'm just saying they not really just gonna get out there now. The new wave, Tango Blast, they gonna get out there, they gonna catch phase with you and things. But this is back in the days with the older cats, and so they use them picos, man. They gonna use them knives. It just is what it is. Now, at this particular time, because everything was pretty much cordial between us, and we were living on a section with each other, and it wasn't no drama, you really, and somebody might have a, knife or something, but I mean, you're not preparing for a war. Well, during this confrontation with these guys, Rooster studied disrespecting. We really the Bloods was really kind of like trying to, keep everything under control, and telling Rooster, man, you wrong, you out of line, you got a D coming, you're gonna get DP for this, man. You shouldn't be out here on this rickyard doing this anyway, you tripping, blah, 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 whatever, right? So he studied going off on the essays though, like, man, he came over here, I'm over here minding my business. He one came over here, he should have just told me heads up or something, I would have stopped. I ain't even know he was coming over here, blase, right? So now, because of how the Mexicans carry themselves, the respect level and things like that, now they feel like, we just totally disrespecting them. And they not going to just feel like he disrespecting them. They going to feel like we all in the same car because we all Bloods. So we disrespecting them. And me as a vet, my homeboy Silky T as a vet, my homeboy Junebug as a vet, we pretty much know, man, it's going to be some consequences behind this bullshit. We know this, you know what I'm saying? We not gonna kiss no ass though. This is our homeboy, he wrong, and we'll take care of it. But we know, just from years and years and years in prison dealing with them, we know what's gonna happen, man. We know. Well, the officers come out there with the because they see, anytime they see a big crowd of people together, they're gonna come down there and tell us to disperse and or go in, they're gonna rack us up. So this particular time, they racked us up. So about a week or two went by without us going to the rec yard. That was another kind of like a sign that something was gonna go down, man. Something, And this is one thing I was gonna say about the Mexicans, man. They were 100% more organized than we were as a gang. They was 100% more disciplined than we were as a gang. They had the functioning, ranking system, things like that was respected. Anything less than that was unacceptable. Us, we weren't, I'm not even gonna put on, man, we wasn't really just organized. It was just a bunch of guys who had came in the penitentiary and had came from different areas and had represented the same thing and got together, but there was no organization form. There was nothing that was concrete that had gave us a foundation to stand on. So it was always drama and turmoil amongst us, man, fighting each other and things like that. Now I will say, we all was some get downers though. We always gonna get down, for whatever, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't no cowards, with the exception of this situation where this happened right here with this one dude. But we was some get downers, man, for real. We was some go getters, some steppers, man, for real. We had to be, because it wasn't that many of us. And so a week went by and we didn't get to touch the yard. So, we like, man, what's up with Rec? Every time the officer come by, what's up with Rec? And they was like, man, ain't no Rec today. So we like, man, they tripping behind this, and in my mind, in this Silky T mind, we passing kites back. I'm telling, look, man, y'all got, because we kept some knives buried on the yard. I said, man, y'all things out there. And they like, yeah, man, they out there, man. So I said, y'all just be ready when they drop Rec, man, because I don't know what's going to happen, and they shooting me back kites, telling me the same thing. So we pretty much on point. So after that week, man, the weekend came, and they called wreck. Now, this was the first warning sign that it was some bullshit. On all red unit, when they called wreck, this was the actual procedure. Now, you got 3 tiers. You got 4 cells, 4 cells. I mean, you have 4 cells, 4 cells, 4 cells. There's 2 showers. Then you have 4 cells, 4 cells, 4 cells, which is a total of 24 cells. And it's 2 people in each cell, so it's 48 individuals. So what they would do is they would roll 4 cells, and it would be a TDC officer standing right in front of those cells. They would tell you, strip down, butt naked, give them your clothes, they search them, shoes, they search them. You step out, put your boxers on, and you walk all the way downstairs, and you line up with nothing but your boxers on and your shoes. This is how it's always been. Since when I got there, it was always like this, man. They never deterred from this procedures. This particular day, they called wreck. Man, them people opened all 48 doors. It was so shocking. People was like coming to the door, myself as one, and kind of like holding on to the thing, like looking out the run, like, man, what's going on? Everybody, like, what's up? Now, essays, they falling out. They suited and booted. They coming out, fully dressed. Officer come in and say, man, wreck, if y'all ain't going to wreck, close your door. If y'all going to wreck, fall out. So everybody like, oh, man, we start getting, boom, getting ready and stuff. We coming out with, boxes in our hands and stuff. They're like, man, get dressed, get fully dressed, man, go to the yard. So, man, we like, shit. So there's 2 things going on. There's this in the back of your mind, man, that's when they start doing this shit. But then just, consciously, you like, hell yeah, man, we ain't been wrecking a week or 2, man. Hell yeah, come on, man, let's go. Y'all going, let's go. So, instinct is telling you, man, but just that initial, man, just, man, ain't about nothing, and we go out there. That was the first sign. Second one, man, every time these essays go on that rec yard, man, every time they go on that rec yard, they going straight to that handball court, and they gonna get some handball games going. They got 2 courts, and that's what they do. They gamble on it, and whatnot, Every once in a while, you might see a black over there, but that's they shit. Basketball court, niggas gonna be on that basketball court. Man, that day, when we went out there on that yard, man, them essays was just like standing around, sitting down and shit, just chilling. The brothers, man, they not peeping nothing. They not peeping nothing. Running up and down that basketball court like they in the NBA finals and shit. Arguing, fouls and all of this kind of stuff. And me, Silk, Junebug, Bull, some other cats, I can't really think of their names right now. We all sitting over there. We didn't already kind of went in the ground, because we noticed, we like, man, something is not right. Man, them essays ain't playing no handball. That was like one of the first things that was mentioned, probably maybe 10 minutes out on the yard, was, man, they wasn't playing, handball. And, like, yeah, man, it's kind of weird, So I'm like, man, you think something going, you think they still tripping, or, what y'all thinking? So, I mean, just collectively, we was like, well, man, it's better to be ready than have to get ready. So, we over there in the ground, just sitting down or whatever. So, we get our little old issues out. Now, this is a third thing that happened. When they called yard in, this is what normally happens. Everybody rushes to the door. And the reason why you rush to the door is because they're going to strip you out, search you, put your boxes on, and niggas be trying to, in the essays, be trying to run in to the pod to get one of the open showers, because you got 5 open individual showers, right? You got 2 on 2, 3 row, 2 on 2 row, and 1 on 1 row. So instead of having to go into the cell, take a bird bath, and then have to clean up and all of that, you just run in there real quick, man, and hit yourself, with that water, a little bit of soap or whatnot, and I mean, put your boxes on and just boom, and then you go in the house and finish up your little, cleanup. But you really don't want to go in there because you don't want to get your sweat and everything all on your clothes and stuff, you know, your sheets and stuff, you know, and you and your celly both in there sweaty and hot and shit. So, you know, you just really be trying to, you know, kill a bird with a stone before you just go in there. You know what I'm saying? So this particular day, man, them niggas ran up there, man, and you got what it is, you've got a partition, you got a partition right here, and you have a partition right here. And in the middle, the officers stand, and you get behind the partition, and you take your clothes off, and you give it to them, and they search it out or whatever, then you go in. Well, everybody bottlenecked up there. All the brothers, they trying to hurry up and get in, man. They trying to get in there to get that shower, man. Sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 niggas in the shower, man. You know, I mean, you know, ain't nothing gay about it or whatever. Niggas just trying to take a shower, you know, hurry up and get in the cell. Man, them niggas ran up there. And man, them essays ran up behind them. And man, I mean, it was like, man, it was messed up. They didn't have nowhere to run. They didn't have nowhere to go. And them essays just ran and just was just sticking them. So when me and Silk and the rest of the homies see, we run over there. We really the only ones that was out there that really had anything. It was some other ones that had something out there, but they ass playing basketball and didn't go over there and get on their duty like they were supposed to. So we running over there and we ran up behind the essays, but it ain't no more than probably about like 6 of us. Everybody else, the blacks is all piled up in the front, and the essays is between us and them. So we hit the essays, so that kind of broke everything up, and it kind of spread it out from trying to get into the door, and it's back on the yard. Man, it was a massacre, dude. It was a massacre, man. My homeboy Junebug got stabbed in the lung. His lung collapsed. Bull lost the eye. No. Junebug got stabbed 15 times. Bull lost the eye. I think Silk got stabbed about 3 or 4 times. And the crazy thing about this was this. Rooster, the guy who all of this was behind. Instead of him, when the dude, man, my bad, you know, I ain't see you. Man, I apologize, whatever, just being a man about it, because he ain't had no business doing that in the first place. He popped off and really put the essays in a position to where they had to retaliate, you know. This nigga climbed the fence. This nigga climbed that tall fence that I told you about, 30-something feet or maybe higher than that. Climbed the fence. And we was talking to some guys after all of this had happened and everything, you know, and the smoke had cleared. And we was talking to some guys, and right where that fence is at is some cells. So you got the first level cell, the second level cell, and the third level cell. So it was a nigga, I don't know, it was a Crip dude. He said, man, he looked out there in the window. He on the 3rd floor. He said he looked out there at the window, and he's seeing all this madness and stuff going on. He said he seen some movement, and he looked, and he said he seen a nigga on the fence looking eye level with him. Man, that rooster had climbed all the way to the top of the fence, man, and all this madness was behind him, man. And that's not even the end of it, bro. Well, we had to go to the infirmary because of stab wounds and injuries and stuff, right? So a lot of us, man, had Mexican cellies. A lot of us had Mexican cellies. You know, it was almost a luxury to get a cellie of your own race, even though y'all gonna be in there fighting half the time. But it was still, it was because, you know, man, 2 black dudes in a small environment like that, you know, it's gonna be a lot. But it was more comfortable in there like that than with an essay. Because essay at the door talking Spanish to his partners, and you don't know what he's saying, and it's stuff coming in under the door. You don't know what it is. So it was. So, but they, you know, most of us had Mexican cellies, and when we went to the infirmary, they landed helicopters out there and everything, man, because a lot of guys got life flighted on both sides. You know, some essays got life flighted too. But we took that loss though. But when we went back, if you were unlucky enough to have a Mexican cellie, they all came back and put them in the cells. You know, they didn't have any injuries or whatever. Man, them dudes broke them locks off our lockers. man, went in our lockers, man, they tore up family pictures. They destroyed radios. They destroyed, man, anything that held any semblance of value to you, man. And when we walked back on the block coming from the infirmary and stuff, man, they was in there yelling, doing the Mexican screams. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just going off, man. And you know, man, when your pride is hurt, and your body is hurt, it's hard for you to just, just to rebound from that immediately, man. It was bad out there on that yard. And coming in, and man, you seeing stuff kicked all out from up under your door, pictures and stuff, and the officer telling you, man, go in the cell. And we just came from the infirmary. We ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing, man. No weapons or nothing. And they telling us to go back in these cells. We don't know what these essays got. Our pride hurt, our body hurt, And we was like, man, don't nobody go in them cells, man. Don't nobody go in them cells. We were not, man, in any condition, mentally or physically, to go in there and try to battle with these fools, man. Then we in handcuffs. So what they gonna do is they gonna put us in the cell in handcuffs, close the door, open the slot, and then we gotta stick our hands out and get the handcuffs off of us. Man, ain't no way we going in that cell like that. It's no way, And so back to what I first said, about that loyalty, man. Instead of us, getting that fool Rooster and beating Rooster ass ourselves, tell them like essays, look, we're going to take care of this. Don't worry about it. And it's not going to happen no more. As a young man, not a mature man that has been through anything, but as a young man, almost still, a teenager mentally, we have an issue with adhering to that. We feel like, we copping a plea with these fools. You know what I'm saying? When we know in our heart that our homeboy was wrong, but we trying to save this imaginary face with these essays and not budge. And we could have alleviated all of that if we'd have just told them, we gonna handle this in-house, man. We got y'all. And took that fool and beat that fool ass either on that rec yard or on the cell block. But we didn't. We didn't, man, and it cost us. And that's why I say about that loyalty, man. That loyalty in other people, placing it in other people. That loyalty, placing it into these factions and gangs and things like that. Man, that shit ain't gonna never be loyal back to you, man. It ain't gonna never be loyal back to you. Loyalty, man, place it in yourself. When you know right from wrong, and you know what you're supposed to do, and you stay loyal to yourself, you're going to always do it, man. You're going to always do it. So this one right here, man, this one right here was an incident, that kind of started me to kind of look at things a lot different, man. I didn't completely learn from it, but it was something that was put in my toolbox. And later on, when things happen like that again, I remembered. And sometimes we learn that first time, sometimes we learn that second time, sometimes we have to take us 3-4 times. But the end result, man, as long as that we learn it, And so with that, man, I appreciate y'all for watching. And appreciate y'all for subscribing, man. All my new subscribers, man. Say, man, they popping, man. It's popping. Yeah, I appreciate their views and everything, man. I really, really appreciate y'all, man. And I'm going to try to keep this content fire for y'all. And I'm going to try to keep them coming, man. I got a 9 to 5. So I work, man. I work like 10 hours a day, man. So I can't just drop them. But I'm going to keep y'all fed, man. For sure, I ain't going to starve y'all. With that being said, what's banging?